Today we're celebrating the love story of the beet and the walnut in one of its oldest forms, Pkhali. In Georgia, people have been making this beet walnut spread for hundreds of years. I got the idea for it from Polina Chesnakova's book, and I've been messing around with all sorts of beet walnut spreads for a couple of months now. Today I'll show you two that are my favorite so far. The first one is made in a food processor. It has a pleasant sweetness from the prunes and a little zing from the garlic and chili paste. The second version is more pure in flavor since the only ingredients are beets, walnuts, salt, and acidity. And I use a blender to make it silky smooth. This one is not only great as a spread on toast, but also as a base for an entree. I served it with pork confit and arugula salad in my meat class, and my students loved it. All right, let's do it. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees with the rack in the middle. Trim the leaves and tails and then wash and dry your beets. I'm cooking 2 pounds of beets today so that I can show you 2 versions of this dish, but normally I would cook 1 pound, which is about 3 of these. Wrap the beets tightly in foil and put them on a foil-lined baking sheet. I line it to save myself the cleanup. I know the beets look nice and snug in their packages, but their juices always leak. Put the beets in the oven until a knife goes through them with absolutely no resistance. This will take at least an hour and 15 minutes, but could take longer. Don't turn off the oven. We'll need it for the walnuts. Spread them on a baking sheet and put them in the oven just until they get aromatic, about 5 minutes. Unwrap the beets and cool until you can handle them comfortably. Sometimes I forget about them and cool them completely, which makes them more difficult to peel. So I would check up on them every 30 minutes so that you can peel them while they're still warm. The part of the beet that's set on the baking sheet can sometimes taste slightly burnt and bitter, so it's best to slice it off. Then you can put your knife down and rub the beet with your hands. The peels should slip off easily. The prunes I'm using are nice and dry, which will help them absorb the beet juice and thicken the mixture. To find such dry prunes, look for the word unsorbated on the package, but any prunes or even other dry fruit could work here. Since my prunes are very firm, I like to cut them in half to help my food processor deal with them. We'll need 1 sliced garlic clove and a big handful of cilantro. If you don't like cilantro, feel free to skip it or use parsley. Okay, so here's my first version of Pkhali. Let's quarter our beets and put them into the food processor. Add the cilantro, the walnuts, the sliced garlic clove, and a little bit of some chili product. I like it mild, so I am using a Turkish chili paste, but you can give it a shake of cayenne or skip it entirely. Let's add the chopped prunes and a tablespoon of pomegranate molasses. You knew that was coming, right? It wouldn't be a Helen video without pomegranate molasses. If you don't have it, you can replace it with a 50-50 mixture of balsamic vinegar and honey. Add some salt and puree in the beginning. I am pulsing to prevent all the ingredients from flying around. Once things break down a bit, give it a scrape and then run the processor until you get a slightly coarse puree. Make sure to scrape the processor a few times. In the end, I like to add a little bit of mayo, or you can try full-fat Greek yogurt. I got the mayo idea from Polina's book. It might not be traditional, but it really improves the texture. Don't worry, it will not taste like a Soviet-era salad. The addition is so small, you'd never be able to identify mayo as one of the ingredients. You can serve the spread immediately, but it's even better if you let it sit for at least an hour to give the prunes a chance to get completely soft. Pkhali is delicious by itself, but if you add a walnut topping, it becomes spectacular. Here is the topping. Finely dice some white onion. If you can't dice finely, mince it after dicing. Add a handful of thinly sliced mint leaves. and chopped toasted walnuts. Since they tend to jump off my cutting board when I chop them, I wrap them in the foil that I use to toast them and whack them with the flat side of a meat tenderizer. Let's add a garlic clove grated on a microplane zester. We need a smooth garlic puree here, and pomegranate molasses, salt, and olive oil. Mix it all up, taste and adjust. I'll give you accurate measurements in the description below the video, but there is no substitute for tasting. You'll need some good toast to serve this spread. Just a reminder that good toast doesn't pop out of a toaster. Good toast is cooked in a skillet in butter or olive oil. If you want to turn this spread into cute little hors d'oeuvres, put it into a pastry bag and pipe on top of the toast. Here's the second version of Pkhali that's really silky. To really show off the beet walnut pairing, we'll remove most of the other ingredients and we'll use a high-speed blender to make a perfectly smooth puree. In go the beets, walnuts, pomegranate molasses, and salt. Close your ears because the Vitamix is loud and puree the heck out of it. This mixture is a bit too thick for a typical blender and requires a pusher. It works great in a Vitamix, but I don't know how well it would work in other blenders. See how perfectly silky this comes out? This puree is awesome on toast with the walnut topping, but it's also great served slightly warm as a base for pork or duck confit or seared fish. Pkhali is particularly flavorful the day you make it, but it keeps well in the fridge for a full week. I would just recommend that you bring it to room temperature instead of serving it cold. Unfortunately, the topping does not keep well because the garlic and the onions start to get a little stinky. So I would recommend making it within a few hours of serving. Here are more very detailed culinary tutorials for you to check out, and if you are ever in the Boston area, maybe I'll see you in one of my classes.